thank you so much for taking the time to join this masterclass on circular fashion partnership, establishing circular textile systems. This masterclass is organized by Global Fashion Agenda and will, as I said, focus on one of our impact programs, Circular Fashion Partnerships. I am Christina Iskov, and I am Director of Impact here at Global Fashion Agenda, leading the impact team with our programs and publications. Again, welcome everybody. I can see the number keeps increasing. It's amazing. We're really happy for you to be here. Again, a reminder, the session will be recorded and uploaded on our webpage. During the session, you can ask questions in the Q&A function that's in the bottom of the Zoom. So please do that throughout the session, and in the end, we'll address questions. And some of the questions can also be addressed written during the session. Yes. All right. So before, I want to say, please stay until the end of the session, as we will have a special promo code for a ticket to the Global Fashion Summit hosted here 5th till 7th of May in Copenhagen. So, but first, let's dive deep into the session. We're going to present what the circular fashion partnerships are and how they work. Then we have two panelists with us here today who will discuss how the experience has been, but also what you can learn from it and how to take it further towards a more sustainable future. So I'm going to leave the word to my two beloved colleagues, Camilla, who is online from Amsterdam. Hello. And then I have Francesca, who's actually with me here today in Copenhagen. Thank you. All right, over to you.
Thank you very much and welcome everyone again. We're ready to dive deep and explore better what our circular fashion partnerships are. So to start with a bit of a definition, our circular fashion partnerships are cross-sector collaborative initiatives for developing and accelerating circular fashion systems in the textile manufacturing regions by capturing and recycling post-industrial textile waste. We're now currently active with our circular fashion partnerships in Cambodia, Indonesia, and Turkey. The objectives of the programs are to build a viable business case to strengthen the recycling sector, to improve the textile waste management practices on the ground, and to accelerate the textile-to-textile recycling also in the country. How do we achieve this? Is through three main supporting activities, which is the waste-to-solution matchmaking, which I'll tell you a bit more also in a bit, which aims to maximize the value of the textile material, of the textile waste. We also work to drive policy advocacy in each country to contribute to a better circularity ecosystem in the country. And lastly, we incentivize also the reintroduction of recycled materials into the new fashion product to close then the loop with the materials. The program is funded by H&M Foundation and is implemented on the ground thanks to circular economy, closed-loop fashion, and reverse resources. Diving into the timeline and the activities of the program, each program runs for across more or less 2 years. So we have 1 year of piloting and 1 year of scaling, which follow the design, which is mainly internally and with the partners. This is a blueprint that I present. Each country then has a bit of different activities that are implemented depending on the landscape and the situation of each of the country. Starting from each of these different stakeholders and involved, we first have the brands. They are onboarded on the platform, on the program, and they get to nominate the facilities that participate in the program. They are then kept in contact constantly through brands working groups that are quarterly occasions where all the brands reunite and through constant email. The manufacturers then, the facilities that get nominated are first onboarded and they get registered on the traceability platform of one of our partners. They then get assessed according to their textile waste management practices, and they also get issued, thanks to this, a corrective action plan. So a plan to understand how to improve their practices on textile waste management. Throughout this, they get then constant support in the implementation of the actions to take, also with a follow-up in-person visit at the facility. They also then get involved into training on segregation of waste and traceability onto the platform, which allows then for monthly reports to be created and to shared then with the brands participating in the program. The waste senders and recyclers, also a big part of the supply chain, they get at the start mapped and assessed according to compliance. The idea here is to really understand how is the ecosystem in each country in terms of waste senders and recyclers, which is very different in each of them. They then take part in the matchmaking activity, which is one of our most important activity, where we facilitate and recommend the manufacturers, the waste senders, and recyclers to establish circular commercial collaboration. So the idea is really to take the waste data that we generate on one side and link it to the best available recycling option in the country. On the backdrop of this, there is the work of our national lead, which is the main lead for the stakeholder engagement, especially with ministries and government stakeholders, and for the policy analysis. All of the stakeholders are then able to join the events that are organized throughout the period. So usually a launch event, a one-year progress event, and possibly also a final event, and the cross-sectoral engagement moments at the Global Fashion Summit. Taking a bird's eye view at the programs, these are the countries where we're active in. And as you can see, in 2026, activities are ongoing. They, starting from 2027, around mid-2027, there will be the launch of the multi-stakeholder platform, which is a place that is thought for the continuation of activities in the way of capacity building that we have been working on until now. The type and the format of the multi-stakeholder platform will change slightly between countries, depending on the actors that are present, depending on the activities and the different collaborations that are already ongoing, and on the industry collaboration. Diving deeper into each of the countries and giving updates on how each one is doing, we will start from the first one, or the most recent country that has been launched. So the CFP in Turkey, which was launched just last month in December 2025 in Istanbul. The national lead for this program will be Rematters. The ongoing activities are currently the onboarding of brands onto the program. There are still a few spots left, so we do encourage whoever of you is representing a brand and would be interested into joining this project to let us know as soon as possible. We will share later a way to do this. The upcoming activities that would be specific for this country in the next months are the domestic textile to textile industry mapping that I explained before, but also a strengthening of the existing ecosystem of the waste handlers and their compliance on the ground. There will also be a couple of activities that will assess the upgrading potential of the recycling infrastructure that is already present on the country. And we'll also be doing the matchmaking, but specifically this time between recyclers and the brand's product specifications to encourage the uptake of recycled material. Lastly, we will have a training for professionals on the responsible practices for circular textile systems in Turkey, so going on the way of the capacity building for the country, and the policy advocacy work that will be going on between our national lead, the Ministry of Environment, and the Ministry of Trade. Going now instead to the country that was first launched under this framework, which is the CFP Indonesia. It was launched in October 2024 in Jakarta, and the national lead is Rantai Tekstil Lestari. The completed activities that were happening in 2025 have been the one-year progress event, which was held on the 23rd of October in Yogyakarta, and which saw a presence of more than 100 participants and speakers also from the policy side. We conducted 15 assessments at facilities on their textile waste management practices, and we mapped more than 25 recyclers and 15 waste handlers present in the country, specifically in Java. We also trained over 50 professionals on the responsible practices for circular textile systems, contributing to the knowledge building in the country. The upcoming activities for 2026 instead aim at mainly matchmaking the waste to the best textile to textile recycling option available. This is part of the scaling phase, of course, of the project. And we also have two specific work packages that are specific only for the country, which is one of a pilot on identifying the chemical disruptors for recycling technologies in partnership with ZDHC as well. And lastly, a work package on identifying the volume of footwear waste flow in the country to understand the availability of this footwear waste. I'll leave it now to my colleague Camilla.
Thank you very much, and hello everyone. I'm very happy to share the status of our CFP Cambodia and the upcoming work for this year. So firstly, just a very brief context of the country. CFP Cambodia builds on the groundwork laid out by the GIZ-led Advancing Post-Industrial Textile Waste pilot that ended at the end of 2024. And as Cambodia continues to take up more and more importance in the global textile value chain, we have to ensure sustainability is at the heart of this development. So with our work in 2025, we have already achieved several milestones associated with this transition to circular economy. Both at the factory and at the institutional level, and also in terms of capacity building of local stakeholders. So zooming in into the completed activities for 2025, we have conducted textile waste management assessments and delivered corrective action plans at 20 facilities that are participating in the program. We've also identified 91 textile to textile recyclers that are potentially to be used by the manufacturers and the brands, both in Cambodia and in neighboring countries. We've also worked on capacity building by training 25 country professionals on responsible manufacturing for circular textile industry, and also they already delivered 50 trainings to industry professionals, and we have initiated the engagement with different departments at the Cambodian government for domestic textile VAT exemption. So the upcoming activities really build on these achievements, and they will expand on to 30 more textile waste management assessment facilities, and also capacity building of local stakeholders to increase that even further in the future. We'll also be starting to do the matchmaking between manufacturers, waste handlers, and recyclers based on the waste material that comes out of the production stages of the brands that participate. There's going to be a Cambodian textile waste recycling assessment that will be published in mid-2026. And then we will, of course, continue working with the ministries and the Secretary of State to test the impacts of the VAT-free domestic sale of textile waste, to also tackle the problem of informality in the waste value chain. And now I will give the word back to Christina for the moderated discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, both Camilla and Francesca. And thank you so much for questions in the chat and in the Q&A. If you have any country-specific questions, please write them in the Q&A, and Camilla and Francesca are here online and will answer them. Yes. All right, now we will be moving on to the moderated discussion here together with Charlotte and Marketa. Please come online with your camera. Hello.
Hello.
Amazing. Thank you so much. First of all, welcome both of you. Thank you so much for being here together with us today. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction. We have Charlotte Brunström here from H&M Foundation, who's our funder of our Circular Fashion Partnership Program. She is a program director for collective action at H&M Foundation and is responsible for the strategic development, program management, and fostering partnerships aiming to ensure a just and fair climate transition for the textile industry. Then she leads the collaboration on this project together with us. So we are very excited to have her here today. On the other side of the screen, we have Marketa Miltenberger from 8 Yards. She's the managing director of 8 Yards and has over 15 years of experience in the textile and fashion industry. Besides that, 8 Yards is a partner of or brand onboarded onto the Circular Fashion Partnership. So first of all, welcome both of you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Great. All right, let's get started. First off, Marketa, why did you decide to join the program as a brand having production in Indonesia? And what do you find most interesting about the Circular Fashion Partnership model? And how does it support your current work on sustainability?
Thank you, Christina, for the question, and thanks for having me. I think it's quite obvious since Francesca explained what the partnerships are about, right? So we were exactly in the same situation as probably many brands. We were searching for a local solution of the waste supply chain and creation of closed loop in the country. We do not have, and our mother brand does not have local teams in the country. So we do not have people on the ground to be able to search and access the market correctly. We were searching for recycling options and recycling partners. That was the reason why we decided actually to join the program to get support on that problem or the challenge we were facing. And I think it's also one, what is the most interesting about the CFP model itself. And I think the charming point is it's not just GFA, it's a group of partners. They are on board, as Francesca was mentioning, for example, you, Christina, Closed Loop Fashion or VS Resources. They are actually locally active and helping us, everybody from his corner and point of view, within that program to find on the groundwork, the right partners and train the people to get an understanding of closed loop system in the countries. So both of that was actually very, very clearly filling the important gaps of our available options to be able to act locally.
Thank you so much, Marketa. And I can see that there's a lot of questions coming in around post-consumer waste. So we are starting one place. At GFA, we have other projects focusing on post-consumer waste, but this specific project is on post-industrial textile waste. Thank you so much, Marketa. Charlotte, now talking about post-industrial textile waste. Why do you think that working on post-industrial textile waste recycling and recovery from landfill are crucial for brands and manufacturing countries?
Thank you, Christina. Well, I absolutely think that it's crucial for both manufacturing countries and brands, absolutely, but for different reasons, obviously. So if I start with a brand's perspective, I would say that it's high time to regard post-industrial textile waste as a high-quality feedstock compared to other waste streams, I would say. An advantage to mention some is that it's both known and controlled in terms of composition. And with that, I mean that we know, the fiber content is known. It could be, for example, 100% cotton or 100% polyester, or if it's a blend or a mix, then it's a known blend. So I think that is an advantage in itself. Another thing that came to my mind now is that it's both, I would say, clean and uncontaminated because it comes, directly from the manufacturers. So it hasn't been warmed compared to post-consumer waste, for example. It hasn't been washed. It hasn't been exposed to any dirt or anything. So that makes, I think, the pre-processes to handle it less complicated. And then, of course, that will reduce the cost as well. So that's another advantage. Another reason to look at it as really like high quality feedstock is that it has the potential for brands to reduce their emissions in the scope 3. And by scope 3, I mean the brand's indirect emissions in their value chain. And normally that kind of emission comes primarily from manufacturing or raw material. So if we are dealing or kind of replacing virgin fibers with recycled fibers, that in itself will help brands to reduce their emission in scope 3. So that was only like a few examples of the advantages that brands would have if they include this in their work. And if I then move on to looking at it from a more sort of a manufacturing country perspective here, I think that there are many potential wins and advantages as well. So what I first come to think of is really, to think of textile waste or post-industrial textile waste as a value. So turning waste into value. I am talking about like the fact that we are right now having manufacturing countries exporting waste or landfilling waste. So instead of doing that, we should kind of look at it as a domestic economic opportunity instead. So the problem will be turned into kind of a competitive advantage for that specific country. So that is, I think, the mindset that we need to have. I'm also thinking that manufacturing countries that are up to speed and up to date with this kind of work, they're actually future-proofing their industries, because the textile industry is constantly changing, right, and developing. And countries that are up to speed with this kind of work, that also means that if they have the right and modern infrastructure in place, they will have also the right skilling that is required with it. And if they have the skilled workers and the infrastructure and also the new business models that comes with it, I think that they will be ahead of the curve, to be honest. And then the opposite, countries who will not do this work, I think that they will actually risk to lose orders in the future by brands, because brands, generally speaking, are moving to a more circular supply chain. So I think there's a lot of, benefits for a manufacturing country to look into this further. Another thing I was thinking about is, of course, the green transition or the just transition, because I think that manufacturing countries who are doing this correctly, meaning that we have an inclusive and just and fair recycling system in place, those countries, I think, will also increase their competitive advantage on the production market. Because of the same reason that I was just explaining about. So if it's done correctly, and then we are now including the informal workers, for example, making sure that they are organized and formal and also skilled, of course, and prepared for the future of jobs that comes with this system. If we are making sure that their work condition, their living conditions are improved, and they have salaries, they have them in time, that in itself will, of course, make the market itself more attractive. And I'm also thinking that, making sure that there's a just and green transition is also improving, obviously, the waste handling processes overall, and that will, of course, reduce pollution. So it's really a clear win-win for both the planet and the people if this work is done correctly. So that's also a clear advantage, is something that is important for manufacturing countries to think of, I guess.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. I think you came with a lot of good points, and I especially like turning waste into value, and that's exactly what we need to do. With that in mind, Marketa, what are the topics that you find most valuable to tackle collectively across the supply chain through this Circular Fashion Partnership Program?
Yeah, I believe exactly what Charlotte has said, right? You need to identify in the countries the right partners to create the value. Till you don't have everybody on board collectively working on the topic, is waste the waste. And this is actually the purpose and the reason why we joined the partnership, and where we see that that's the most valuable work we all do together. We have more partners on board. Everybody is doing a piece of work. One party is checking the traceability. Another party is trading the people on the ground in the country. Another party is identifying the correct partners we need in the country to be able to close the loop. We as a brand are working with our suppliers to get the topic understood. We try to understand what are the limitations when it's coming to tax, when it's coming to duties, when it's coming to regulations, since we have in the countries, of course, a lot of regulations or logics we imported the goods with. So to understand all this, you need many parties to get together and to create a collective brain. And this is actually the most valuable piece of the work that we had the chance to create it together.
No, for sure. And thank you so much for addressing that as well. I think that collaboratively, we wouldn't be able, or we would for sure not be able to do any of this work without the implementation partners. It is really a collaborative effort. And I think it's something that I hope the industry can really learn from and hopefully participate in for some of the countries. And also what you talk about in terms of the political scope, that's why the national leads are so important for each country, because they are on the ground there together with our partners. Where we sit from Copenhagen, Denmark, we are not there as often, so we really need input to regulate our push regulation.
Exactly. And what I believe is really very important is that you have a local bodies, local people talking to the local people, firstly in the language they understand, secondly they understand the culture and the regulations in the country, and they are fighting kind of the local people for the local well-being, let me put it in that way. So it's not just somebody from the outside is coming and telling and regulating what has to happen, but the market itself is aiming for getting developed on the next level when it's coming to circularity.
Exactly. Charlotte, over to you again. What is H&M Foundation's vision and ambition for a collaborative approach to action? Quite a big question, I'd say.
Thank you, Christina. Can I just first actually just comment on what Marketa was saying, because I totally agree. I think that it's really crucial that we have local solution to local realities, so that this is not kind of a top-down approach, rather something that we really adapt to the local context. And that is really what I appreciate in this partnership as well, that we are doing it like in different countries. And we definitely benefit from the learnings from the different countries, but we have the local solutions and the local actors are there building from the ground up. So I totally hear your Marketa, and I think exactly like you. And coming back to your question, Christina, then, you asked me about the collaborative action approach, right? And how we work at H&M Foundation. So I would start to say that at H&M Foundation, we are trying to move the industry away from fragmented pilots and towards system change. That is really the core of all of our work. And we are doing that by investing and also facilitating multi-stakeholder partnership, multi-stakeholder platforms and conversations, really. Because it's obvious that no actor can achieve this alone. We cannot change the system by ourselves. No one can move the needle alone, right? So this is really what we're trying to do in every product that we have, and of course also in this partnership. And also coming back to our core at H&M Foundation, we are always trying to make sure that the environmental progress goes hand in hand with the social progress, because our mission is really to fuel and drive the green transition in the textile industry, but also making sure that it's just and fair and inclusive from a people perspective. That is really, really important as well. So I'm thinking that a well-functioning post-industrial textile waste recycling ecosystem really, really requires a lot of different partners coming together, just like Marketa was saying as well. This is really what collective action is about, bringing in different actors with different competences, joining hands, working very collaborative and close together towards a common goal, and according kind of a joint roadmap as well. And I'm think that what is really important also to make sure that there is enough of to make this system work and this chain work is that we have to make sure then that there is, enough demand, enough supply, enough infrastructure, enough policy, and also social dimensions. So all those components has to be there if this system should function and function well as well. And that boils down to, in practice, that we need to bring in and collect and working together with brands, manufacturers, recyclers, the government, and the civil society. Everyone needs to be there joining hands in order to make this system really work. And what I really want to emphasize here as well is that that is kind of why we also are joining hands with the Global Fashion Agenda, because you are allowing us as a donor to really be part of changing the system from the ground up. So like I said earlier, we are trying to move away from, fragmented pilots and working in silos, and instead joining hands with others, working from the ground up with local solutions, addressing the root causes rather than the symptoms, right? And for that, it takes a lot of hands together to accomplish this. And that is really where our heart is. And that is the beauty in our partnership with you guys as well.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. We completely agree on that. And just looking at time, because I can see there's a lot of questions, and we still have some questions left in this panel. So first of all attendees, thank you so much for all of these questions. We really appreciate them. If you put them in the Q&A and not the chat, it's easier for our panelists to also answer you directly. But I will choose some of the questions for the Q&A in the end. Thank you so much. All right, back to Charlotte and Marketa. Marketa, what do you wish to see more of in terms of collaborative industry action?
Thanks for the question. I think we were really in a good shape, and I think that's unique on the program itself. I think what might help to be even more active with, and I wish to see more, it's the combined efforts of the brands. So we are very much looking on the combined effort of the value chain, and I think this is where the partnership is very strong at. What might be the next level is even the openness of the brand to be able to collaborate on the same point. So everybody's kind of driving their own problem. We all have, in the nature of the industry and the nature of the business we do, we have the similar problems, but similar, not the same. And I think that might be the next level where we might reach additional benefits when it's coming to creation of closed loop. I think that's the one thing. And the other thing is what I would wish if I could, and what I really appreciated on the CFP Indonesia, we were in touch with the local authorities, with the Ministry of Industry. And I think it's a very important work when it's coming to legislation and to activation of the government. It would be really nice to see somehow faster reaction of them, clear priority on the topic, not just talking. And I know it, we all know government and alignment between bodies and authorities within the government are very long-term activities. What will be very nice is to see somehow that they really faster react on the country obvious problems, not taking years, but taking months.
Thank you so much. I think that it's a lot of really good points. Again, thank you for the questions in the chat. Keep them coming in the Q&A section, please. All right, last question, Charlotte. And again, it's a dynamic discussion, so Marketa, feel free also to comment on this. So Charlotte, what kind of ambitions would you like the industry to undertake while working on this topic and in the future?
Thank you. Well, there's a lot of things I want to bring up here, but I will try to make myself short here. So I will focusing on 4 to 5 things here. So first of all, I would love to see overall more long-term commitments from everyone engaged in this partnership, because system change, it takes time. So that's one thing. And another thing is what I mentioned earlier about the just transition, the mindset. I would love to see that everyone, having the social perspective here in this kind of work, meaning including the formal workers especially, making sure that they have the right skilling and also the right working conditions in this infrastructure. And then the third thing would be to really urge everyone to have a local approach. Like I said earlier, this is really about us making sure the manufacturing country is, in the co-design process. They are the co-owners of this system because it's local reality, so we need local solutions. And the fourth thing is that I would say that I wish that we have recycled materials as kind of the norm in the future, and that circularity is kind of embedded in the system from the beginning and not an add-on in the end. And the last thing I would wish for to have ambition for is to kind of change the culture mindset. And then I'm mostly thinking about how we think about collaborations, because I do think that people are working in silos still, and that we are all very much competing with each other. But to be honest, we are working towards the same end goal in the end. So let's start collaborating even more onwards.
No, thank you, Charlotte. I totally agree. And again, this project is a collaborative effort, and why we encourage people to really join. Marketa, do you have anything for this question as well? What do you see the industry should undertake in the future in terms of collaborative efforts?
I completely agree with Charlotte on the points she was mentioning, since I think the understanding in the countries is a change itself, the mindset. And we also very, very clearly seeing in Indonesia from our partner, Rantai Textile Lestari, how much effort do they see to bring the local teams on the mindset of how to treat and handle waste. And this is where it's actually necessary to stay long term on it, since it's not just a system change that has to happen. This is definitely an understanding of the local people, and training of the local people how to behave and how to handle the problem itself. And this is, nothing it's happening within 1 year or two. So the program is getting a great base to understand the country and the system in the country, to train the first pioneers. And the collective work of the brands is to set limits and to set guide rails on that base work, and to continuously driving and requesting actually that way of working for the future.
Thank you so much. I think this is going to round up a perfect panel debate. But before rounding everything up, we will be moving into a Q&A, because, wow, you're sending a lot of questions. First of all, thank you so much for all the questions. We've picked out a few. And again, write them in the Q&A, because then we can answer directly there as well. We have 2 colleagues sitting online ready to answer. All right, a question for you, Charlotte, first. Is it possible to increase circular textiles without the social aspect, or is the social aspect a required step?
Thank you so much for that question. I mean, for us at H&M Foundation, to be honest, the circular system has to include the social aspect in order to functioning well. The way we look at things is that the environmental aspect and the social aspect are very much interlinked. So if we don't have workers that are, healthy and feeling all right, and they don't have the enabling environment at the community level or the household level or at the factory level, they will not be efficient workers either, to be honest. So I don't think that the social aspect is crucial for something to really work fine. I hope that answered the question.
No, I think it does. And it is also a human aspect that it needs to be a part of it. And we also see that with regulation going forward. For Marketa, how has the suppliers' experience for joining the program? How has it been? How have the suppliers been involved in the program, and how have they received the program? So a lot about the suppliers in the program.
For me, it was kind of as expected, since the partners we have in the country are very motivated and open-minded partners. They are working with our brand not just for fun, but because of purpose. They are somehow familiar with getting standards set. So the first reaction was like, yeah, we are very happy to join. We are happy to work with you on the next level for the country. So it was a kind of collaborative, even partially patriotic approach, and we were very much appreciating. Very open. We even never had an issue like, okay, please share data with us, share the waste data with us, share this data or that data. Which waste handler do you work? Which supply chain do you use? We never faced any kind of, no, we don't want, or no, we don't share. They are very transparent, very collaborative, and both of them, since we have two partners in the country, have sustainability teams. So we have dedicated team members. They are there for the company and for the country to drive the topic at all. So there is even understanding for it. So it was very, very proactive, very open, and I was happy to have it like this, and do not have actually troubles that we have firstly to convince the partner. That wasn't the case.
No, we experienced the same. I also have a question here that's technically more for me / GFA, which are what are the reasons that we see brands joining this initiative across countries? And I think I'm going to start answering, and then I think Marketa, you might have a couple of points towards this as well, even though you've covered it quite a lot through this panel debate. But I'd say that in general, coordinated efforts with others. We have these brand working groups as well. Then it's standardized approach to waste management, a plug-and-play program, and a way to act from far without a local team. And with that, I just want you, Marketa, to put a few words into how much time would you, as a representative for this program, spend on it? It's a question we receive at GFA a lot. When brands are thinking about if they should contribute and join the initiatives, because there is so much to do for people nowadays within sustainability, of course.
Yeah, I think we have to be very honest. I think the textile industry understood that sustainability is a core, and it's not working without, right? So textile industry understood how big is the problem the industry is causing. So therefore, I believe close to any brand has a sustainability initiative targets and teams that are working on that topics from different angle, whenever it's CO2 emission, whenever it's waste, whenever it's whatever it is, like social aspect, as Charlotte was mentioning. Therefore, I think this is the obvious motivation why to join such a kind of initiative and programs. When it's coming to the effort, 80 Arts is probably well known, a subsidiary of Hugo Boss, and Hugo Boss actually decided last year or the year before to explore that topic with a separate legal entity that's focused on the topic purely. Therefore, we have the capacity and the chance to work and to collaborate on this kind of program very intensively. I'm not sure if you really need a lot of effort at people. You need somebody that's really keen on. You need somebody that have as environment topic as a passion, or the sustainability topic as a passion. And I'm honestly doing that initiative on my own in person, since I like the topic. And it's not like that I'm sitting the whole day long and you need like one person dedicated to this. It's not the case, since a lot of work is made by the partners and a lot of work is made by the manufacturers. And that's actually the charm of it, right? That you are somehow steering and coordinating the parties. You are bringing the push and the vision into the topic, and the clear requirement to the country and to the partners in the country what we are actually expecting for results. that's it. And I think the rest is well organized within the program and within the partners.
Perfect. No, thank you so much. That's also our experience. All right, back to you, Charlotte. Again, thank you so much for all the questions. Charlotte, you highlighted the importance of moving away from siloed activity to improved collaboration. Could you elaborate on how H&M Foundation is facilitating these collaborations and building from a local level? So it's someone who's interested in the actual activity versus simply the
Thank you so much. I love this question. So I'm glad that I got it. So yes, H&M Foundation, we are very much working with a collaborative mindset in every product that we're doing, I would say. So I can just give you one example. I'm program director of a huge collective impact program in Bangladesh, which is trying to prepare and equip the women garment workers for a future defined by automation and digitalization. So this is really H&M trying to focus on the female garment workers and their needs and their challenges and their wishes, and also then connecting the different kind of interventions and organizations together around them that we can then approach and address the different needs all at the same time. So that's why working according to a collective impact method. That means that we have the women in the center, and then we are building up a huge context around her with different kind of support. And this is not us coming as a top-down approach. We are working with a local backbone organization, like Marketa was also mentioning before. It's so important to have the local knowledge, the local understanding of the context. They can help us navigate in that landscape also. The kind of networking, they know the languages and so on. So we're working very closely with a Bangladeshi backbone organization. And then together with them, we are finding and identifying the right kind of implementing organizations at local level that will then support the female workers. And in their turn, are of course interviewing the women workers as a first step to building up this project. So really understanding their needs and their wishes. And then we also make sure that they are part of co-designing the activities as well. So this is only like one example how we work on a very local level, but with this huge collective impact project, bringing together different kind of stakeholders to make sure that the women's needs are addressed from different angles, really. So we're working both within the factory, but also at the household level and the community level with different kind of interventions. And this, coming back to what I said earlier as well, it requires a special mindset, to be honest. It requires a lot of courage for different actors to open up and share, learnings and pitfalls, and also data sharing, because we cannot work together in one and the same project if we're not daring to share data and information among each other in this cluster. So it requires a special mindset, a collaborative mindset. And I think this is really the key for every project and every collaboration happening right now. So bringing in many stakeholders together, making sure that they are coordinating, sharing data with each other, and then building up having the primary actor in the middle and not a top-down approach. This is how we work with collective action, and especially with this collective impact method. So that's only one example. I can give you 100 more, but I know that, we're running out of time.
Yes, thank you so much, Charlotte. I think you definitely gave a really good example of it. All right. So because there is also more questions for GFA in general, I can see. But Marketa, do you have anything you want to add to what Charlotte just said?
I think not really. I think Charlotte summarized it very clearly, and I think that the point is made to not spend the time and repeat things.
Super. All right. Just wanted to give both of you a chance, because then I think just the last one for GFA, what gaps and limitations do you see when working in each of these countries to properly scale the circular economy and just transition? And how do local conditions and changing market factors make what you do difficult? So I just want to say we are in Cambodia, Indonesia, and Turkey. And I think just reiterating, I mean, the gaps, the way the supply chain is structured, make it more difficult to create a perfect closed loop, even though that's what we try, but within each country. So waste exports and their challenges needs to be considered, and in policy ways. And I think, again, going back to the local leads, that is why it's so important to have a local person in each country. And then, of course, informality of waste handlers, ensuring that these foundational and historical actors are not left out of the conversation, and that we acknowledge them, but also try to explain why it's better to be a part of the formal actors. All right, now we are at time for the Q&A. I'm just going to round up the discussion. I think, first of all, it's been a really fruitful discussion, and I'm really happy for the questions here in the chat, and for you, Charlotte and Marketa, to be here. I think summary would be, you know, collaboration with the whole supply chain is important, and implementing action on the ground, local people talking to the local people. Collective work is the most valuable part for brands. Joining advantages for brands is having access to the actor on the ground. So I think there's a lot of that that's crucial. So Charlotte and Marketa, thank you so much. If you just want to stay on for a couple of minutes, we have some more updates, but thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we'll get the screen back up. Thank you. All right. So, going back to this one. Wait, there we go. Yes, so again, thank you so much everyone for joining. If you're interested in joining our Circular Fashion Partnership, please scan this QR code. We'd love to have more brands joining here at the different countries where we are still active. Yes. All right, going on to the next slide. As I said in the beginning, we have the summit very close. It's in May, and we actually have an opportunity to get a discount on a ticket with 12% off. Register here at the QR code as well. All right. Last but not least, we have another GFA program coming up, or not a program actually, but a publication for CFOs. So it's together with the Boston Consultancy Group. We are developing a special edition of our annual report, the Fashion CEO Agenda, that focuses on 5 different priorities relevant for CEOs. So it's a strategic guide to help finance leaders embed sustainability into core financial decision-making and long-term business strategies. So I really want to emphasize everyone to scan the QR code and fill out the survey, because we need as much data as possible to really get a good publication out of it. And as I think we have discussed a lot in today's masterclass, collaboration is key. So let's not be shy, and let's share as much as we can with each other to learn from each other. Yes. All right. With that being said, thank you so much. I encourage you all to stay in touch. We'll definitely have more masterclasses at GFA as well. And yeah, we'll get back to you with a recording of this session and link to the different and relevant surveys and web pages. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Thank you for joining.